These are Nature of Science review pages for standard grade 7, 1.5. Describe the methods used in the pursuit of a scientific explanation as seen in different fields of science, such as biology, geology, and physics. So methods and models used in different fields of science. So on this one, the top of the page tells you to create a graphic organizer in your notes for the types of models. So as you're listening to these, you'll want to see how many different models there are and create probably columns or something on your paper to take notes for each of the different types of models. Okay. When investigating a scientific question, it is important to use appropriate methods and tools. For example, you should not use a microscope to study a distant star. Oh, you would not use a microscope to study a distant star. Similarly, you would not use a measuring cup to estimate the amount of water in a lake. The method you use to gather scientific information can also vary across different fields of science. Scientific technology. In choosing a scientific method to follow, scientists may also choose technology that helps with an investigation. Technology is the use of scientific knowledge and processes to solve practical problems. Scientists use technology to store and display data, perform calculations on data, and communicate information. Scientists also use different types of technology to obtain information from remote locations, collect samples, and make measurements. So those are all good notes for scientific technology section. Use of a hand lens to examine the features of a tree leaf is a simple form of technology. Use of a satellite that relays images about weather conditions to Earth is a more complex form of technology. So there are a couple of examples of technology, good for your notes. Scientific models. Scientists use information they have gathered to make models. A scientific model is a visual or mathematical presentation of an object or a system. Good information. Models are used in science to help explain how something works or to describe how something is structured. Make sure you know what a model is. It's a good sentence right there. Models can also be used to make predictions or explain observations. Some examples of scientific models include physical models, mathematical models, and conceptual models. So now you're going to be learning about those 3 types of models. So this could be where you add 3 sections to your notes and label them each one of these different types of models. To be truly useful, a model must be in proportion with the object it represents. So a model must have a scale that relates to the object, much like a map has a scale that relates to actual distances. For example, suppose a model represents a river that is 100 kilometers long. If 1 centimeter on the model represents 10 kilometers, the model must be 10 centimeters long. A model must be accurate. Otherwise, it will be misleading. Even when models are accurate, they have limitations because it is never actually like the real thing it represents. For example, a model of a body more may show the parts of the body, but it does not act like a human body would. Even so, the model is useful for understanding how the parts of the body are related. So you have physical models. A physical model is one that you can touch and see. So that's what you should write on your notes. A model you can touch and see. A toy rocket and a plastic skeleton are examples of physical models. Make sure you have examples also. Drawings and diagrams are also physical models. There's some more information. Many physical models look like the thing they represent, but may not represent every aspect of it. Mathematical models. A mathematical model may be made up of numbers, equations, and other forms of data. Some of these models are fairly simple and can be used easily. For example, a Punnett square is a model of how traits are passed from parents to offspring. So that's a good model that you should write as an example for mathematical models. By relating traits in a square diagram, scientists can predict how often certain traits will appear in the offspring of two parents. Other mathematical models are quite complex and often require computers to make and manipulate them. Conceptual models. A conceptual model is a description of an idea. For example, the idea that life originated from chemicals is a conceptual model. This type of model develops an idea based on reasoning and evidence and may include the other types of models to express information. Investigating geology. Models that scientists develop can vary based on the field of science. For example, geologists often study Earth by taking samples of rocks, soil, and other materials. However, some features on Earth are difficult or impossible to study close up. For example, active volcanoes are both large and dangerous. So scientists use technology to gather data from a distance. They also make models of different types of volcanoes that show how the parts of the volcano interact. Geologists also use models to represent objects or processes that they cannot see. For example, Earth's layers and core are too deep to view directly. Scientists use different types of technology, such as seismographs, used to study earthquake waves to gather information about Earth's interior. They use this information to make models that represent the composite and thickness of Earth's layers. So you got mantle, crust, and core. You should know those parts of the Earth. Investigating biology. So these are how these different types of models are used in the different types of science fields. So this would be a good part to put in your notes as well. How models are used in earth science is what we just went over. And this next one is how models are used in life science, biology. Biology is the study of living things. Some parts of the natural world are too small to observe with the unaided eye. Many organisms, such as bacteria, fall into this category. Parts of organisms, such as plant and animal cells, are also too small to observe without technology. Scientists use different types of technology, such as powerful microscopes, to gather information about these small objects. They then use this information to develop models that enlarge the objects to represent their parts and interactions. Other models in biology represent processes and systems. A model of the circulatory system, for example, can show differences among smaller parts, such as arteries, veins, and capillaries. It can also allow you to trace the flow of blood from one part of the body to another. Okay, so those are examples of models in life science. And then the last one here is examples of models in physical science. So physics, investigating physics. Physics is the study of matter and motion, as well as force and energy. All matter in the universe is made up of particles that are too small to see, even with powerful light microscopes. These particles include atoms and molecules, and the subatomic particles within them. Scientists gather information about atoms using different types of technology, including electron microscopes. Scientists also use incredibly large, powerful machines called particle accelerators to gather data about subatomic particles. Scientists use this information to develop models that show what they know about particles and their interactions. While specific tools and methods differ depending upon the scientific field of study, the systematic, evidence-based approach to gather data remains the same. Okay, and then when you go to the next page here, it tells you at the top of the pages to either answer these questions in your notes, or if you have your book, you can answer them right in your book. Okay, so please make sure you write down your answers for these questions. You will see an assignment on your Google Class or on your Skyward assignments so that you can answer these right on your Skyward. All right, so you answer those. Now this week you have tutorials over here on the side. You only have to pick one of these. So this is how science is in action in different types of science-related fields. So you can pick the science-related field that you're interested in, and you can just do that tutorial. Don't forget to put your name on your certificate and save that in your document so you can submit that in your Google Classroom. And if you feel like it, please pick another science in action and do more than one if you'd like. But you only are required to do one at this time. All right, that's it. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed.